Would having a balanced approach to food, exercise, and finances be mentally and physically more healthy than strict rules on abstinence? My answer is no. I don't think I would be healthier if I lived a different way, and the reason I am okay saying that is I did live a different way, and I was extremely unhealthy both physically and financially. But it comes down to you understanding yourself and making decisions on what is right for you and what is best for you. But with that being said, let's explore why I believe living strictly is healthier for me as opposed to indulging more often than I should. So why do I live with strict rules for finances, diet, and exercise? It all comes down to understanding my behavioral tendencies, understanding my personality, and learning what behavior and actions lead to negative outcomes. And over decades, I have learned that I have a very addictive personality, and that means that I have to be strict with myself, otherwise I will find myself being overindulgent. So to avoid that overindulgent behavior, some people may be able to enjoy it on occasion, but I have found that I just need to not partake in certain things. I can't have certain things around me. It is why I don't drink alcohol. It is why I no longer buy junk food, because both of those things are very easy to become overindulgent in, to binge on. Now, to be clear, I don't live a completely monastic life. I do still indulge in things that I enjoy, and when I do, it makes it all the more special. I'll get a pizza a couple of times a year. I'll get a couple pieces of candy during Halloween or during Christmas. I'll get cake for New Year's or something special like that. And when I do actually get to indulge and enjoy those items, those food items, it makes it so much more special than if I were to buy them every single month or go to the grocery store and say, hey, good job, Andrew. You had a great job at work this week. Go ahead and get a piece of candy. If I do that every week, that's not special. But if I wait till Halloween, that makes it a lot more special. I know there are plenty of people out there who do not have to live like this to avoid overindulging. They can have a carton of ice cream in their freezer and have the self-control not to eat it in a single sitting. But I understand I am not that person, so I do not buy ice cream because I will eat it in a single sitting. But that is as far as the consumption, as far as the food. What about exercise? Why am I so consistent with walking and doing push-ups every single day? It's a very similar idea. If I choose not to walk because I don't want to, I will start to enjoy being lazy a bit too much, and then I will let the sloth take over. So I have to force myself to get up, spend an hour of my day going for a walk, take a couple of minutes every single day to do a couple of push-ups just to get that exercise in, do something that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. And I want to point out that I don't think that I'm overexerting myself or doing anything crazy by walking 4 miles a day, because I'm pretty sure that human beings have walked 4 miles a day forever. And humans just stopped doing that, at least in the West, maybe 100 years ago when automobiles started to get popular. So I don't think putting 4 miles in every single day is unhealthy. I don't think it's out of the ordinary. And I think it is a good decision for me. I also ask myself, what would I be doing with that extra hour if I did choose not to go for that walk? Would I be doing something actually productive? No. If I am being 100% honest with myself, I would be sitting on my butt, watching a TV show, watching a movie, doing something where my brain is shut off. It would be a waste of time. So at least by spending that hour doing exercise, I am benefiting from it, as opposed to just becoming a worthless sloth that is sitting on my couch. Which is okay from time to time, but I know that I enjoy that far too much. And if I start to indulge, I will be the best sloth there ever was. And then we get to finances, why I am so strict with myself with finances, and why I do no spend months. The primary purpose of these no spend months for me is to break bad habits that I see forming in terms of overspending, or maybe I am just being a bit too comfortable with spending money. I am starting to not understand the value of a dollar. I am not understanding how many hours it takes to earn the money to buy what I am buying. If I start to notice myself behaving that way, I know, hey, Bandrew, it's time to do a no-spend month. Now, I don't set out every single year with a set number of no-spend months that I do because I think that might be counterproductive, because if I set an annual budget to spend X dollars in 12 months and I knew I was going to be doing 2 no-spend months, that would lead to me spending that entire budget within 10 months and being a bit overindulgent. The goal is not to cram a year's worth of spending into a shorter time frame, into 11, 10, or 9 months. The goal is to hopefully eliminate the desire to constantly buy new stuff and hopefully break the desire to overconsume. Maybe I'm oversharing here, but when I look around my home and look at everything that I personally own, a lot of what I see is just frivolous spending. It was, oh, that sounds fun, I guess I'll buy that. That sounds fun, I guess I'll buy that. And by doing these challenges, by forcing myself to do no spend months, I am trying to alter my relationship both with finances and with things. And the reason I'm doing that is to hopefully ensure in the future that I don't find myself in a situation where I have no money and I have a bunch of crap that I don't care about, because I don't want to be that dude. It's a story as old as time. You hear it nonstop. This person earned some money, they spent everything, they didn't save a penny, and now they're broke. I don't want that to be me. So I am trying to understand my behavior and break bad habits with these challenges. But then I have a couple of secret motives on why I live so strictly, why I live a relatively monastic life. And number one is I frequently think back to my grandparents and my great-grandparents, and I think about what it was like when they grew up. I think about what they went through, and I think about how they thrived, and every single one of them lived incredibly frugally. Of course they had to. It was out of necessity because they lived through multiple world wars and they lived through the Great Depression, so you really couldn't afford not to be frugal. But I think about that. During those times, they still thrived. They were still happy. They just didn't go out and buy everything that they wanted the moment they wanted it. They didn't go out and buy a pizza every time they wanted it. They didn't get a cake every time they wanted it. They didn't get candy every time they wanted it. And even though they didn't indulge in all these extravagances, they were still incredibly happy people. And I think there's some wisdom to be gained from that, because back then they didn't have a lot. They didn't overindulge. They didn't have a bunch of money. They didn't have a bunch of possessions. And they were constantly going through difficult times, yet they still managed to be happy. Nowadays, we have so much. There is an overabundance, and we have access to almost anything that we want, yet we're more unhappy than we've ever been. So perhaps we should be looking backwards to how our ancestors, our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents lived, what they went through, and try to gain the wisdom that they had. That's what I'm trying to do. That's the first secret motive. The second secret motive is a lot less heady and a lot less pretentious sounding, but I enjoy doing difficult things, and these challenges that I set for myself, whether they be financial, dietary, or exercise-based, are difficult for me to adhere to, and I get a great feeling when I accomplish something that is a struggle. By walking 1,500 miles in a year, by sticking within a diet, by getting a set amount of work done, by publishing a video that was difficult to get done. By doing hard work and actually overcoming that struggle, I get a tremendous amount of joy out of it. These are a couple of things that I do in my day-to-day life. No spend months, live within a diet, exercise every single day. Simple things that are difficult, but I get a great feeling when I accomplish them. And the third secret motive, I don't mean to sound like a doomer, but I am anticipating some economic hard times in the future, and I would prefer to change my behavior, to change my habits on my own terms, as opposed to being forced to shift them because of an economic downturn. This way, if these downtimes do occur, I'm going to be fairly ready to weather the storm, and I won't encounter culture shock when I realize that I have to cut back my spending on all of these luxuries. Oh no, I can't go get my Starbucks. Oh heck, I can't go to Target and buy that thing I wanted. Geez, I can't order that Amazon. I can't order that or that or that. I'm going to be prepared because I am already living like a monk. I am already living like we are in those times. Some people may look at me and think that's no way to live your life. You ought to be living it up while you can, but I enjoy it. I have found joy in simple living. I have found joy in living below my means, in saving money, in not spending every dime that I have, in not being overindulgent. And changing your relationship with all of this behavior, I think, is an incredibly healthy thing. To summarize this entire diatribe, the reason I live frugally, the reason I live on a strict diet, and the reason I exercise every single day is because that is the right decision for me, because I understand my behavioral tendencies, and I know if I start to indulge, I will likely overindulge, so I just avoid situations that might lead to that.